Hello and good morning, my friends. It is a cold day. It's a rainy day here in the capital. So here we go. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Impact Money Show. Of course, I'm your host, Bruce Porter Jr. Let me as well and get my other host on here, share the link with him, and we will be on our way. All right. A lot of little things I have to do at the very beginning of the show. We have a treasure trove of financial insights for you today. Here in Washington, D.C., the weather is unpredictable as the markets, with the current temperature of 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, it's not really a snowfall. There is still a little bit of snow stacked up, although this slight rain that we're getting is going to take care of that. The weather is as unpredictable as the markets, reminding us that winter still has a bit left, but the chill isn't just in the air. It's also in the political atmosphere, especially following last week's tragic event at Ronald Reagan National Airport. That one has really struck home for us, for a lot of people. A helicopter and a small plane collided in a devastating incident, leading to the loss of several lives, including some community leaders and young students. In a moment, we'll share a clip from an interview with Sergei Korovin, my father-in-law, who speaks about friends, colleagues, and students that we lost in this tragedy. It's not easy, folks. It is not easy. This is Sergei Korovin, my father-in-law.
Don't have words, I have only tears.
The words might never come, but as Sergei Korovin stands above a memorial to several of the young figure skaters killed in the American Airlines crash, he peers past the flowers to the ice and remembers the skaters, young children, who he coached for years.
My former students like Livingston family, Beverly and Lydia, and my co-coach.
Over the last 4 years, Korovin worked closely with one of the victims who was one of the brightest young stars in U.S. figure skating, 14-year-old Franco Aparicio.
He was like flying on the ice, He could stay on ice like 2 hours straight.
He was going to be a future Olympian.
Absolutely. I didn't have doubts,
A future stolen in an instant and a family torn apart. Franco's father, Luciano, was killed in the plane crash with his son.
Was supporting father, It's hard to, lose them, but when you're thinking about his mother and two sisters, what they're going through. Sorry, guys.
Still, there are no words. But there's support at every area ice rink, memories shared with grieving families, and memorials built by strangers. Flowers blooming for lives cut short. Has this helped?
Oh, yeah. And you see people coming, coming.
Sometimes we don't need any words to keep moving. We just need each other. Reporting in Northern Virginia, Drew Wilder, News 4.
If you know my father-in-law, he is, that interview was rough for him, but he did it. It's like I told my wife, I am there for people if and when they need me. And that's why he did that. That's why he did that interview. Anyway, it's just absolutely horrible. As we reflect on this somber note, let's transition to the financial markets, which have been just as tumultuous as the weather. Starting with commodities, gold has seen a significant rally with investors seeking refuge in this safe haven asset amid the ongoing U.S.-China trade war. However, today's market is a small retreat with a 0.3% drop, possibly influenced by the strengthening U.S. dollar, the DXY, which has risen to nearly 0.4%. Silver, on the other hand, has seen a more pronounced decline of 1.28, reflecting on perhaps the combination of reduced industrial demand and speculative trading dynamics. Of course, silver, all the markets are, of course, very manipulated, but silver has been one of them that's very manipulated. It's not only, it has a lot of uses as well, and they keep the prices down. In the stock market, Dow futures are up about 0.35%, indicating some optimism, perhaps fueled by positive earnings or trade developments. NASDAQ futures are up a modest 0.1%, showing a more cautious approach, especially after recent tech sector highs. Over in the cryptocurrency space, Bitcoin has nudged up by 1%, possibly responding to institutional adoption or regulatory news. However, the altcoin market is a mixed bag, with some tokens gaining while others lose ground, highlighting the volatile nature of digital currencies. Let's dive into the stories that are shaping the financial world today. U.S. tariffs and market fluctuations. President Donald Trump's latest round of tariffs in Canada on Canada, Mexico, and China has introduced significant volatility in the markets. The Canadian dollar in particular has been feeling the heat, undergoing dramatic swings as Forex markets react to these policy shifts. This isn't just about trade. It's a reflection on how economic policies can ripple through global markets. Cryptocurrency ETFs. There's a buzz around Grayscale's filing for an XRP ETF with the SEC. This could signify a turning point for the crypto investments, integrating them into traditional portfolios. However, the journey to approval is fraught with regulatory challenges, and we'll be watching closely as this unfolds. Social Security adjustments. The first Social Security checks of 2025 have been issued with an increase, but the real question is whether these adjustments keep up with the cost of living, especially in areas like healthcare, where the costs continue to rise. We'll examine these changes are truly beneficial to retirees. As well, they started taxing those things. Unbelievable, really. So you taxed on your money, and then you're tax, and then they tax you again on this. It'll be amazing to me. I mean, we grew up in a time where they always, we always kind of knew it wasn't going to last. It wasn't going to last. So I don't know how many people, I guess still, but if you took that money that you've been forced to put away into these types of things, you would be much better off. Barclays Bank technical issues. Barclays has been in the spotlight after resolving a technical glitch that disrupted its digital banking services. Now they're focusing on correcting customer balances, highlighting the ongoing battle banks face with technology and reliability. The Indian equity markets post-budget. After the Indian budget for 25-26, the markets reacted with initial volatility, but ended the day in a positive territory. Sectors like realty, FMCG, and consumer durables have seen a surge in demand, suggesting investor confidence in India's economic strategy. Now let's address the most contentious topics of the week. The U.S. aid scandal. President Trump, with Elon Musk at the helm of the Department of Government Efficiency, has moved to dismantle U.S. aid. Here, I'm going to put this. I mean, this is crazy. It's crazy what's going on. It's absolutely crazy. I think everyone will agree with me. I mean, it is really, it's really just surprising what is going on with this U.S. aid. And it's like one thing after the other, right? I'm just going to pop this down here. U.S. aid. I mean, it really is just, it's like one thing after the other. Elon Musk and his team really doing an amazing job. Let's see here. I'm just making sure I have this put here. About 10. Okay. Okay. Question mark. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Shutdown attempts. U.S. aid has effectively been put on pause with staff on administration leave and its website taken offline. This is a broader initiative to cut what's perceived as wasteful government spending. What's perceived? I mean, let's face it, and it's out of control. It's out of control, guys. Corruption allegations. There are several accusations against U.S. aid, from funding terrorist groups like Hamas to supporting an ISIS and all of them. I've always said that ISIS is the CIA, and now, of course, the connection between the CIA and U.S. aid is now plain for everybody to see. It's also been supporting what critics call radical left ideologies. Funds have allegedly been funneled to projects like disabled climate leaders in Asia or indigenous language tech in Latin America, raising questions about the alignment of U.S. foreign policy objectives. Security breach incidents. Doge or doggies or whatever you want to say, move to access U.S. aid's security system has led to the suspension of security officials, stirring debates on government transparency and data privacy. The political backlash. The decision has not gone unchallenged, leading to protests and significant pushbacks by corrupt politicians. Pushback from the Democrats and the nonpartisan government workers. And nonpartisan, that's very, who knows? There's a debate over whether this move undermines U.S. humanitarian efforts and international influence, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio stepping in and acting as a head, suggesting potential integration into the State Department. It really is something else. Operational impact. With nearly all of U.S. aid's global staff on leave, the immediate impact is a halt in various humanitarian programs, which could have dire consequences for those reliant on U.S. aid. Of course, this is one of the reasons why I am worried. I don't know if worried is the right word, but I am, as much as, and I've been buying the dips and I'm doing well on the market, but there's a lot of money coming out of the market. Even if all this money with U.S. aid was given around, I mean, they were paying hundreds of millions of dollars to, all these, no wonder that the news organizations were all against Trump and against us Americans, because they were getting paid through U.S. aid millions and millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars all over the world. I mean, all over the world. It's unbelievable. It's like the biggest criminal operation I've ever seen. We knew it, and we knew it was happening. We knew it was happening. Operational impact. With nearly all of U.S. aid staff on leave, the immediate impact is a halt in various humanitarian programs. The U.S. aid saga is emblematic of broader tensions in U.S. policymaking, where efficiency, governance, and humanitarianism intersect. Turning to technology, we're on the cusp of some fascinating developments. In AI, OpenAI's introduction of deep research for ChatGPT marks a significant advancement, promising to automate complex research tasks. This tool could revolutionize how we gather and process information, potentially impacting the field from academia to finance. Of course, guys, I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Grok has these guys beat so bad. I mean, Grok is far better. If you're not on Grok, you're missing it. All these other language models and everything else, like, they're not really real time. Grok is like real time. Like, that's why I always like Twitter, now X. It was real time. You get real time stuff. You really talk to people. And Grok has real time information. It's really just hard to compete with that. In robotics, from human robot race in China to the development of robotic hands that mimic or exceed human dexterity, we're seeing a rapid evolution. These advancements have applications in healthcare, entertainment, and more, with companies like LG Electronics investing in the future through acquisitions like Bear Robotics. Geopolitically, the world remains a chessboard of complex moves. Vladimir Putin and international relations. There's talk of potential meetings between Putin and Trump to address the Ukraine situation, but skepticism abounds. Ukraine's drone attacks on Russian oil refineries signify a new phase in the conflict, while Putin's accusations of assassination attempts by the U.S. Wonder if that was funded by U.S. aid. Adds tension to the already strained relations. Beyond the military actions, there have been prisoner exchanges in the Ukraine war, and the involvement of North Korean forces has added to international dimensions of the conflict. I have been reading that there's no North Korean forces there. I don't know if that's true or not. It's hard to get that straight. You know what I mean? It's a war zone. Trump's Gaza proposal. In a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, whose family surname is actually Milikowski. It's really interesting, right? Benjamin Milikowski. He's a Polish guy. And I guess when they moved to Israel, he changed his name to Netanyahu. His real name is Milikowski. Ben Milikowski. Interesting, right? Trump made headlines by suggesting that the U.S. would take over and own the Gaza Strip, turning it into the Vegas Strip. No, I'm just kidding. It's almost like there's so many people dead over there that I really can't even laugh about it. I'm sorry to laugh about it. The statement has sent shockwaves through the international community. Critics have labeled the proposal as potentially colonialist or even a testament to ethnic cleansing, questioning both its legality and morality. Milikowski, also known as Netanyahu's body language during the announcement, was quite telling to me, suggesting the discomfort or surprise, I'm not sure which, or both, of Trump's bold claim. Arab nations, staunch allies, and international bodies have condemned the idea, emphasizing the right of the Palestinians to their land and governance. This move could be seen as an attempt by Trump to assert U.S. dominance in the Middle East politics, but it has led to an immediate backlash and skepticism about its feasibility and the regional stability it might disrupt. Now, of course, we all should be getting used to Trump's moves, right? He goes all the way one way, and then he pulls back. He goes way forward, and then he pulls back. So I think the way forward was, Ben, if you don't get a hold of this situation, we're going to take it, period. And also to Middle Eastern partners, look, if you guys don't step up and help, we're going to take it. And, and then we kind of negotiates from there, but who knows? Who knows? He's as unpredictable as I don't know what. On the financial markets front, market dynamics, the slight dips in gold and silver alongside gains in stock futures might reflect investor sentiment adjusting to economic indicators, geopolitical risk, or monetary policy expectations. The DXY, the U.S. dollar's rise suggests a belief in the dollar's strength, possibly from anticipated rate hikes or economic stability. Now, actually, they're talking about bringing the rates down now, which that's kind of the chatter that I'm hearing. Cryptocurrency movement. Bitcoin's rise could be seen as a vote of confidence in blockchain technology or regulatory progress. However, the altcoins market's volatility shows the sector's speculative nature, with each coin's fate tied to the project development and the market sentiment. Now, I again voice my fear, even though we're probably going up, I am buying the dips. I'm doing pretty well right now. I am scared. I have my stop losses in there in some profit because I am worried about the amount of US dollars that are coming out of the market with the Department of Government Efficiency taking so much money out of circulation. Elon Musk's doggy. Musk's role in government efficiency has been both innovative and controversial. His team's access to government payment systems and proposal for blockchain use in government operations are ambitious, yet they face legal challenges questioning the constitutionality and the ethical implications of such an approach. Pam Bondi has been confirmed as the new Attorney General. Bondi has hit the ground running with policies on sanctuary cities, pulling all of the money from them, the death penalty, scrutiny of the DEI initiatives in the different government and companies. Her tenure will be a focal point for discussion on justice, law enforcement, and policy direction. And on a side note, I think she must be the prettiest attorney general we've ever had, right? I probably shouldn't say that, but I don't know. Kash Patel, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard appointments highlight Trump's strategy of placing allies in key positions. Finally, this time around, it seems to be he's really going for it. They do come with controversy. Patel's confirmation for the FBI and RFK's role in HSS has everybody up in arms. Patel, I think, has been referred down. That one's been pushed off. It looks like RFK and Gabbard will be pushed through. As we navigate through these narratives, we see a world where finance, technology, and politics are more interwoven than ever. Today, we'll dissect the stories, exploring the implications for your investments, your understanding of global politics, and the future of technology in our society. From gold market fluctuations to USAID shakeup, from AI's transformation, potentially changing the whole geopolitical chess game. We bring it all to you on the Impact Money Show. Let's go to the markets. I have with me here the great Matt Dixon with the Market Watch Report. Sir Matt, how are you?
Hey, good. Thank you, Bruce. Morning, everybody.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and you too. So interesting to hear what you had to say about Trump. As you say, maybe it's just big talk to try to get people into line and then pull back a bit. We'll see.
We'll see. I think half the time he just shoots from the hip too. He's so good at it that it's done him well over his life, but sometimes you just never know what the guy's going to do.
You never know. So I'm just sharing my screen. I hope you can see. I'm going to jump straight in with Bitcoin. Can you see that? Yeah, so I've got the real long-term view on Bitcoin here. So we're actually going, I mean, obviously Bitcoin started 2009, the financial crisis, and we rose gradually to that 19,000. That held for a long, long time. That was probably the first wave up. So what I'm trying to show here is that potentially this is in the red labels. You can see here, wave 1 up, wave 2 down to here, wave 3 up to here, wave 4 down to here, and wave 5 up to here. Now, normally that wouldn't be allowed as a 5-wave move. The reason being, you can see here that wave 4 overlaps the top of wave 1. Now, normally speaking, that's not allowed in Elliott wave. But in the case of what's called a leading diagonal here, you can have overlap. It's one of the few exceptions. There are a couple of exceptions with leading diagonals and ending diagonals, but normally this would not be the case. But potentially, I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there that this could be a large leading diagonal. Now, if it was, then when it's finished, we would expect quite a substantial correction to retrace a large part of this leading diagonal. So a large part of the whole price history of Bitcoin. That's if it's a leading diagonal, but there's nothing to say it isn't a leading diagonal. So, you know, all possibilities are out there, and it's just about how probable are these possibilities. Now, this is actually quite possible, quite probable even. So if it's a leading diagonal, very often they stay within trend lines. So the tops here, top of wave 1, top of this minor wave 3 here, and the top, the final move up, normally or very often align with a trend line. So with this overhead resistance here. So if that's the case, and we continue to push higher, and that is actually my base case at the moment, I do think we're going to get another push to new all-time highs on Bitcoin. You may remember in the last few shows, I've shown that we're probably still within the within this wave 4, or maybe wave 4 is just finished, and we're starting up on a final wave 5. That's on a smaller fractal than this. We'll perhaps zoom in on that in a moment. But if that's the case, we're potentially pushing up, and that would tell us at the top maybe somewhere around this level here that I've got labeled as wave 5, maybe somewhere around the 117,000 area. That would be a substantial new all-time high for Bitcoin if it happens.
What number was that?
That is potentially, again, we can't tell exactly where it would end on this diagonal overhead resistance, but potentially around the 117,000.
Yeah.
So this is the monthly chart. So that means each of these candlesticks is a 1-month period. So we are early on now, very early in the month of February. So potentially we could push quite a way up. So there's real room to push higher. I mean, we're currently on 98,800. I'm talking about potentially 117,000. So we're talking 19,000 potentially, 19%, 20% basically, potentially to finish off the move up. And I have put it out there as well that I think there may be a top in the market somewhere around March, April time, latter March, April of 2025. I think there's a lot of challenges ahead, not least economically. I do think that my base case is that we're probably going to enter recession sometime during 2025. But I think the challenges will be showing themselves before we actually head into recession. So let's see. But this actually is perfectly reasonable. So when you look at it, we've got the wave one. We'd have to break that down to look at the internal count of wave one. It's a smaller movement there. It's 19,000, which is a lot of movement in Bitcoin, but in the long-term scheme of things, it's not a lot. But then we have the wave two down. That's this red here. But remember that the wave three itself will be made up of 5 waves. So I've shown that here. We've got a wave one up in red, 2 down in red. So wave 3 in red will be made up of 5 waves itself. So I've labeled that in blue. So we can see here, wave 1 up in blue, 2 down in blue, 3 up in blue, 4 down in blue. There's no overlap there. This is perfectly okay. And then 5 up in blue. So that will give us a really nice wave 3. And then we get an A, a B, and a C down for wave 4 in red. And then the wave 5 in red is also made up of 5 smaller waves, again in blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got really good extension for wave 3 on both of those internal wave counts. Very, very nice extension, well beyond 1.618. In fact, I'll just put the measurement on here. It's well beyond that. So if we measure that here, yeah, we're beyond 4.236 even. Let's just move that. Yeah, we're well beyond 4. So there's a massive extension here for wave 3. So that's perfectly okay. And if you look at this one over here, I'll just put the measuring tool on this movement here. What I've got measured as wave 1. I'll just transpose that to wave 2. So yeah, again, we're over 2.618. So again, a really big extension here for wave 3. In fact, we've gone to about 3 times the magnitude of wave 1. And then we've got the wave 4 pullback, and then currently in a wave 5. And even wave 5 is also extended. At the moment, wave 5 has moved to 3.618 exactly times the magnitude of wave 1 here. So, you know, you never know. We could already be ended. There's a few possibilities out there. And remember, there's never certainty in trading. There are possibilities, and we have to assign probabilities to those possibilities. But the other thing I'd like to look at, whilst we're looking at this chart, one indicator which I use quite a lot is divergence. So I'm just going to remove this overhead line here, just so as we're not complicating things. So divergence is basically when you get, for example, here we've got a higher high on price and we've got corresponding lower high on RSI. So I'll just draw the lines in so you can see what I'm talking about. So on the price, and you're going to line them up perfectly. That's the price peak there and the price peak there. So you don't include the wicks of these candles when you're looking at the prices. RSI is actually calculated on closing price of the candle. So that's why I've drawn it from the top of this solid candle body to the top of this solid candle body. And then the actual corresponding line on RSI is from the very
what chart are you on right now? What hourly, or is it daily or monthly, or what?
This is the monthly. This is the monthly chart.
Okay. Yeah.
Whoops. That. So I'm just trying to get this so we can fit it all in. So this is monthly. This is long term. This is looking at really pretty much the full price history of Bitcoin, pretty much. So what you can see here, and I've expanded it so you can really see it, that the RSI peak is going down. So the slope of this line is down, and yet the corresponding slope of the price peak is higher. So that's what's called regular bearish divergence. It's basically telling you that this is overbought here. So it's telling you that it's a good time to sell Bitcoin. And actually, it was the perfect time to sell Bitcoin, wasn't it? Because we got a substantial move down. So the price at that signal was 58,750, and we dipped in this wave 4 to 28,000. So basically, we went down 50%. So that signal was perfect. It's a really nice signal. I use it a lot in trading. Not on its own, I use it with other things, but it's really good. We also have So after that wave 4, we actually rallied up again. So the next divergence we get, we'll just draw it in, from the price peak here to the price peak up here. So you can see it's sloping upwards.
Yep.
And then we'll look at the corresponding. So from the price peak here, it's actually here, to the price peak there, lining up beautifully. So again, we can see it's actually to there. So here we can see again, higher price peaks, lower RSI, substantially lower RSI here. So again, it signaled sell everything here, sell your Bitcoin here, absolutely at this point here, at the top of this candle, sell. So the price to sell there was 61,000, and the wave 4 dip took us to 15,000. So there we had 75% fall in Bitcoin. So pretty amazing indicator there, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. 50% fall there and it signaled there. 75% fall there and it signaled it perfectly. So let's continue to look for divergences. So there isn't actually divergence, the next movement we see here. So for example, here to here is a price peak. You can see it's peaking higher, but actually there's no divergence because you're looking for opposite directions. So if we put the corresponding RSI peak, you can see it's sloping up and that's sloping up. So that means there's no divergence there, so there's no signal. And in fact, the pullback that we got in the market, there was a pullback. You would find divergence, by the way, if you looked on different time frames. This is the monthly, looking at really big moves in the market. So no divergence there. I'm just looking at the moment. There is actually some divergence at the moment, so we've got to be aware of this. It's a warning signal, potentially. So from this price peak here, I've got labels to wave 3 to up here, the very peak of the candle body there. And I'll just draw the corresponding on the RSI. So from the very peak there on RSI to where we are there. So we can see basically higher high on the price and we can see lower high on RSI. So like those previous times, we've got a warning signal here. Now it's a warning. It doesn't mean it's a certainty, but it's a definite warning that and we've got other things that line up with it. So potentially this final wave up, we've already got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that wave 5 may be complete here. It is possible that it's complete, so we may have peaked in the market already. It is a real possibility. And the fact that we have nice regular bearish divergence in place is another indication that potentially the market has peaked. So although we might, according to trend line that I drew, we might have a bit higher to go to finish this wave 5. And it's highly possible that we would still have, you can actually have bearish divergence extend a bit further, potentially, because we could turn up still a bit in RSI with the price going up a bit, and we could still have divergence in place. But what I'm saying is we are there or thereabouts. So my guesstimate is that the market will peak end of March, April, somewhere around that time. But these divergences are telling me at the moment, not only divergences, but also the wave count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this, by the way, is a typical wave 4. We have good alternation. Remember that rule of alternation, where wave 2 and wave 4 are alternate wave structures. They're usually different in depth, and they're also a difference in duration. So they vary in 3 different ways. And we have that rule there fulfilled perfectly with this wave 4, which is relatively shallow, and then a strong surge in wave 5, which actually on a shorter time frame is probably made up of 5 waves already. We may still have a bit further to go, as I say, but we're getting close. So I'm starting to get a little bit twitchy about this market, that we may be somewhere near a high, which is going to result in a very substantial pullback. As I said,
I am like so scared of. I mean, just like I have so many reservations. Just the fact that they're removing all this liquidity from with Elon Musk and Trump, and Doggy taking all of this U.S. aid, and I mean that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money being pulled from circulation that people aren't getting anymore.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about yesterday. We spent a lot of time yesterday talking about liquidity driving markets. Remember, we focused on the gold price yesterday and how changes in market liquidity, overall market liquidity, affect the gold price. Not just the gold price, though. Risk assets, Bitcoin, S&P 500, etc. So
and it doesn't mean the market can't rally up to the new all-time high that we're saying and then shoot down. But yeah, it definitely warning signs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's just a warning sign. It's nothing to say it can't rally to the all-time high. So that is actually, we're just looking at the monthly signal, monthly chart there, whether each of these candles is 1 month. Let's just bring it down. I'll bring it, well, weekly first of all. So weekly is quite interesting to look at divergences. So again, we have really good divergence here on the weekly as well. So we've got lower RSI peaks, and we've definitely got, if I line them up there, we've definitely got higher price peak there. But interestingly, right now, we don't have divergence in place. That's quite interesting. So we did have divergence, and that signaled the turn down in price from here to here. So it signaled the turn from a price of 104,600 to the low point of 89,000. So it was still a really powerful signal. You know, it could have done really well following that divergence signal there, very, very nicely. But right now, I'll just remove that. In fact, I won't move it. I'll just move it across to show you that we don't have divergence in place right now, because we've got, in the short term, you can see that prices are actually declining now. The price peaks are declining, but also the RSI is also declining. So if I just put the RSI in, move that one across, so you can see, just line them up thereabouts. We can see that we've got lower prices and we've got lower RSI. So we don't have a divergence signal in place in that relatively short-term period there now. So there is still potential to push higher, and we would then still probably have divergence on the monthly. That's the long-term time frame. But I'm just telling you, short-term, we don't have divergence in place. And so potentially we could move higher in this market. And I have still got that wave 5 labeled a little bit higher. And it looks to me as though we've got potentially a wave 1 to here. And I'll probably label these just so as you can see what I'm talking about. So from the low point, we have a wave 1 here, and I'll put it in a different color so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's just put it in red, and we'll make it a bit smaller because it's a smaller fractal. So you can see we've got wave 1 there. Wave 4 was actually down to here, the low point here. So we've got wave 1 up, 1 there. We've got, it's good to do this live so people can see the way the charting's done. Yep. So wave 2 down to there. And then we probably have a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 would be to there. Somewhere around here. And wave 4, now this is where there's a couple of possibilities. It's quite interesting because wave 4 could be already complete. And this is what I've been putting out on X, telling you there's a couple of possibilities. So this movement down from wave 3 here to wave 4 here could already be complete. And then we could be pushing up remember wave 5, we made up of 5 waves. We could be pushing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us that new all-time high on Bitcoin, maybe the final all-time high of 117 for a long, long time to come. We would enter a bear market there for a substantial time to come if that's the case. And that is actually the base case at the moment. So wave 4 could be complete, or we could have a more complex wave 4, which is made up of more of an ABC kind of move. So I'll just label that. The move down there would be basically an A wave. Then we potentially have here B wave. And the move down to finish wave 4 would potentially be a C wave, probably taking you somewhere down here. And that is also a real valid possibility. So there is real potential that Bitcoin could still be in a wave 4 correction with still wave 5 to come to the upside later. So there are different possibilities. And this is why I'm always saying there's never certainty in the market. There are possibilities and you have to assign probabilities to those. So right now at the moment, you can see we're pretty much in the middle of this price range here. When I'm talking about the price range, again, it's reasonably, just put a line there. You can see the top of the range is around about there, and the bottom of the range is obviously somewhere around there. So right now, price is right in the middle of that range. That's the price range at the moment within this consolidation pattern at the moment it appears to be. So as we're right in the middle, for me, risk reward is useless because the chance of upside and downside are almost 50-50. So right now is a 50-50 gamble whether it goes up or down. And when you take costs of trade and commission and spread, etc., into account, that would mean your trade is going to be a loser on average overall. If you did 100 or 1,000 of these trades, overall you would lose out. So in other words, from a risk reward perspective, it is not a trade to take on. So right now, I would suggest keep your powder dry and wait to see. If the price were to dip here, then basically buy the dips by all means. That would be my play right now. So we're here to try to give people guidance. You still need to do your own due diligence and make your own decisions. But, you know, we've been at this for a long, long time. Bruce has been trading for a long time. I've been trading for probably twice as long. So between us, we've traded a long, long time.
Yeah.
So
combined, it's a long time.
Yeah. Experience would tell you at the moment, this looks like it's a wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up. I think we're still either 4's finished or a bit more to go and then 5 up, but we don't know whether that 4's finished. So it really is right in the middle of no man's land. It's not a safe trade to take. So that's really a summary of Bitcoin from the very beginning, really, right from creation when we went back on the monthly chart, remember. But now, right now, we've opened out. We're just focusing on this final 5th wave, which is actually, even that final 5th wave goes back to the FTX low here. Remember the FTX low, 15,400 or something like that, wasn't it? From here. So this itself is a complete cycle. So long term, we have a complete 5-wave cycle near completion. Shorter term, from the FTX low, we have a 5-wave cycle near completion. So, and even at this final move up here, we still have a 5-wave cycle almost near completion. So if you put that into perspective, we are talking a 5th wave of a 5th wave of a 5th wave. So that is telling you we're near the end of 3 different cycle fractals, which when that does come to an end, it will result in a very substantial correction. So this is why it's important to be cautious that anything could happen, especially with Trump making these pronouncements and declarations. It makes for a volatile time. We saw that with the tariffs, then the removal of tariffs. It's a very, very volatile time. So anything could happen in the Middle East right now with what's being proposed. I don't think anyone's particularly happy. So who knows?
Yeah.
So that's for Bitcoin. We'll just whiz through some of the assets just to show whereabouts we're at. So the SPX, and I'm doing this on relatively long term, on a weekly chart here. And again, we're apparently ending a cycle once again, somewhere near the end of a cycle. We can see here, typically the RSI is declining over a long period of time, and yet prices are still increasing. So we can see all these price peaks increasing. We can see RSI decreasing. That once again is telling you the market is not really supported by volume. And as Bruce said, liquidity is beginning to leak away from this market. And yet we're still seeing higher prices because people are desperate to see profits, to make higher prices. But at some point, it's not being followed with volume. So at some point, when it does reverse, it could reverse quickly and aggressively. So again, another warning sign that we may be nearing the end of this long-term, multi-year bull run. So just be aware and be careful. Gold, I think, is still going really, really nicely. I just moved those to where they should be. Wave 3 there, wave 4 there. I still think we've got a little bit to go, and this is what makes me think maybe we've got a bit higher to go. That final push up on Bitcoin, we could still have it because gold is telling me that likely we've still got a bit higher to go to reach wave 5. So even here, if I just shrink that a little bit so you can see where we're at, we've got, again, From a C wave down, we've got a wave one. An ABC down. We had. I'll go back a bit more so you can see what I'm talking about. We had an A, a B, and a C wave correction there. A, B, C, the sideways corrective movement. From there, a 5-wave move to the upside. So wave one, wave two, wave three. Not the extended wave, well beyond 1.618. So it's beautifully extended there. Wave three, wave four, and wave five. As I said, minimum expectation would be to around 3,000. That's a minimum expectation. We could go way higher than that. So I'm still actually bullish gold. And at the moment, you can see trend is your friend. We're very much in an upward trend here. And then the final wave five, you can see here from the four, we've got wave one up, two down. We're working on wave three. Wave four correction will have some time, probably not yet. And then a final fifth wave up. So I'm still quite bullish on gold there. Ethereum, my least favored one, but again, that's actually quite a bullish individual candlestick we can see there. That candlestick is quite a bullish candle. It shows that we tested much, much lower in price, and yet price then accelerated to the upside. And if that finishes, and we're talking here a weekly candle, if that were to finish the week in a with a green candle at the top, a green bit to the top there, that will be extremely bullish for Ethereum. And potentially we have, we may have completed the correction, a bit like Bitcoin. We're either an A, a B, and a C down, and still C to go further down, or we've already completed the wave four correction here with an A, B, C at a smaller fractal level, and we're already pushing up towards the upside. So again, there's two possibilities. We're pretty much in no man's land, in the middle of a consolidation. I wouldn't be taking fresh trades at this point, because again, the risk reward is not particularly attractive. I'll just jump over to Solana next. So it's pretty much the same story. We've got potentially an ABC correction complete there. And then I think we're moving at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We may have already completed, but what puts me off thinking this is complete is when we go to the much shorter time frame. We're going to 4 hour. And this is, I mentioned this the other day, that in this correction from what I have labeled as wave 3, which is why I think it is a wave 3, and I think we still have higher to go, is because we had the A wave down, the B wave triangle is a pre-terminal wave, and this move down is a terminal wave. We still have potential for a bit lower, or we could have finished it here. But at some point, even if we go lower, I believe we're going to reach a new all-time high for Solana because of this triangle. That's a telltale signal that this is just a corrective wave down. And so potentially we do have higher to go. So Solana is one of my favorite tokens always, but now especially. I would be dollar cost averaging from here. I'd probably still be dollar cost averaging, but if it dips again, I would definitely be dollar cost averaging and buying some more, because I think this is a corrective move. So this gives me a bit of hope and a bit of confidence that the overall market as a whole probably still does have higher to go, and that we will likely reach that new all-time high for Bitcoin, maybe that 117,000 or somewhere in that region for the all-time high. But I do think that this final move up, this being wave 3, this being wave 4, whether it's complete or a bit further, the final fifth wave higher to go, a bit like Bitcoin long-term, it's the fifth of the fifth of the fifth, 3 fractal levels, 3 cycles. I think we're then in for a very substantial correction. So yeah, I'm bullish. And again, I haven't really changed my view on this. Short term, uncertain. Slightly longer term, I'm really bullish. I'm going to go to new all-time highs for Bitcoin, for Solana, and for a few other assets. I've got doubts Ethereum will reach all-time high ever again. But then following that all-time high that we're seeing in Solana, Bitcoin, etc., and XRP, by the way, I think that was the all-time high as well, then I think we're going to get a very substantial pullback in the markets. We'll just have a quick look at DXY. In fact, well, we can see it quite nicely here. We can see the 5 waves down, 3 waves up. So we're probably working on 5 waves down. But I'm just going to jump back to the monthly on DXY to show where I think we're at on the monthly chart. So you can see on the monthly, this is a long term. We've been moving We had a consolidation here, an ABC consolidation. I think we had a powerful move up there. Then I think we've basically got some kind of ABC consolidation up, and then we're going to get another move down for DXY. So I think dollar is actually on a decline at the moment. But then following that, if this is some kind of corrective ABC to the downside, then I think that dollar may actually rocket to the upside. And that would align perfectly with my thesis that the market is going to fall out of bed maybe in April. If it does, we'll see some massive dollar strength. And we'll see even greater yen strength, but we'll also see massive dollar strength because money will flow out of risk assets and it will flow into the US dollar, into treasuries. And that's why the US dollar would rally massively. As I say, the yen would rally even more because it's actually the unwinding of the carry trade where all that borrowed money gets repaid back into the yen. And so the yen would rally massively. So everything's aligning. As I say, for the moment, I'm bullish. But I'm just wary, and I think it's probably going to be end of March, April time. I'm going to see the markets fall out of bed. Probably not much point looking at oil or the rest of them. They're following pretty much the same story. But I think it's important just for you to get a picture of what I'm thinking long term. But short term, as I say, I think we can be thinking about dollar cost averaging at least, because I do think there's new all-time highs to come. And I think that's where we'll leave it for today, Bruce.
Sounds good, my friend. Okay. Well, always a pleasure. Great
my
report.
pleasure. Yeah,
And,
great to be with you.
Yeah, trade carefully.
Yeah, and we look forward to catching up tomorrow. I think we've got, actually, we've already had it. I don't know, UK interest rate decision. I think they were dropping rates today, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. What's the deal with that? Did they drop them?
I'm just having a quick look now. Soon find out. Let's see, where's the...
I see expected. Maybe they didn't drop it yet. 44 minutes.
No, they actually stayed. They dropped the rate from 4.75. They dropped it to 4.5. So they expected 4.5. So that was forecast, and it has. So they dropped it by a quarter of a percentage point, 25 basis points. So they dropped from 4.75 to 4.5. So that just shows you that the UK is basically, the economy is slowing. They still actually have inflation above target, but they're more worried about the economy right now. I think they're seeing that inflation probably will fall. So UK is in a mess. We know Europe's in a mess. We know China's in a mess. America's reasonably okay, but not that healthy. And as I say, I think the world economy is on the cusp and probably beginning to show signs of slowing. This is why my base case is we're going to see recession this year. And we're going to start to see, as I say, markets fall out of bed April time. So on that sad note, I'll leave you. I look forward to tomorrow.
Well, real quick, I just and then I'll let you go. But it is funny when Trump started talking about the Gaza occupying deal too, because I was thinking to myself, isn't it actually the Republicans that always get us into this occupying thing? I mean, I love Trump. I'm a supporter and everything else, but I'm just saying. So if we get a recession and we're occupying again, it would be kind of classic Republican, even though, I'm a libertarian really, but I have historically voted Republican. But anyway, just kind of a side note on that. I thought that was interesting. So I think obviously I share your opinion. So
good. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks, everybody. Catch up tomorrow.
Cheers. The great Matt Dixon with the Market Watch Report. Now, remember, folks, I don't want any hate posts, this and that and the other. I am I do support what is going on here in the United States. I think that we have printed up a lot of money. All right. That's why I always say end the Fed. I have end the Fed every day on the show, right? End the Fed. And as we withdraw that money from the economy, it's going to be painful. It is going to be painful. So that is just, there's really no getting around it. And so that's why, when we start to see some warning signs and we talk about recession and this and that and the other, could be healthy. It could be, healthy moments, even though it might be painful. So anyway, don't take it the wrong way. I am a big supporter of what is going on here in Washington, D.C., this pulling out of the corruption, getting America healthy again, making America great again, and making the world great again. You see Elon Musk, the great Elon Musk out there on his X talking about making Europe great again, and it really is something else. So as you guys know, I will be down in Florida, in beautiful Miami, for the Family Office Investment Summit, the Global Family Office Investment Summit. We are throwing the official after party for that event. I'm going to share with you just a little bit about it here, and then I'm going to get into some of our panels that we had for the MAGA Maha Crypto Leadership Conference. I did update our Washington Elite site. Of course, Washington Elite, one of our old brands we've had forever here. Okay, Washington Elite charity galas that we throw. So in 12 days and 16 hours, I think it's a little bit more hours, but anyway, the Global Family Office Investment Summit official after party we'll be hosting there at the Leak Lounge, the beautiful Leak Lounge, there in North Miami Beach. Okay, you can click here to register, and that'll take you right over to our Luma page, and you can register here. I'm thrilled to announce that Washington Elite is hosting the official after party for the prestigious Global Investment Summit in the vibrant city of Miami. Following our recent success with the MAGA Maha Bitcoin inaugural ball, which was a monumental hit, we are excited to invite you to another unparalleled event. The venue is the Leak Waterfront Restaurant and Lounge. Date is February 19th, 7 to 11 p.m. A little bit about the Global Investment Summit. This is the 24th edition. Miami, it's held on the 18th and 19th of February at the Trump International Beach Resort in Sunny Isles, Miami. It's themed Investing a New Golden Age. This summit brings together over 250 investors, industry professionals, including global entrepreneurs, family offices, private investors, and more to discuss transformative topics like blockchain, fintech, healthcare, real estate, and private equity. The event celebrates Miami's pioneering role in technology, sustainability, green innovation, and Bitcoin, providing a platform for networking and strategic discussions. Why you should attend. Luxury and networking. Experience an evening filled with the high end. This is, of course, our event, our after party, official Washington Elite official after party. Experience an evening filled with a high-end fashion, celebrity guest, and VIP atmosphere at one of Miami's most exquisite locations. Exclusive access. This is a private event offering a unique opportunity to mingle with visionaries, leaders, and change makers from around the world. It's a celebration of success, building on the momentum from our successful Bitcoin inaugural ball. And this after party promises to be another landmark event in luxury and exclusivity. Highlights from the summit. Speakers of the guest of honor include His Royal Highness Prince Miguel de Yugoslav, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed Al Harthi, and a host of global leaders in investment. There are interactive sessions from co-investment opportunities to the future of digital assets. The summer offers deep dives into the latest investment trends. We'd be honored to have you join us at the exclusive event where dreams take flight and possibilities are limitless. Let's celebrate the innovation and opportunity and the future of investment together. You can RSVP with me at washelite@gmail.com or 202-436-6577 to secure your spot at this magnificent after party. We look forward to seeing you there. As well, you can just go over to WashingtonElite.com and follow the links and everything else. If you would like to join the summit, it's miami-summit.com is the official website here, and it is it's just absolutely wonderful. So if you would like to join this, let me know. You can see I'm on here. I'm a little under some other people that Donna Presley here. She's also involved. One of my friends, I think, brought her on. Let's see here. Oh, there he is, Stephen Melnick, the great Stephen Melnick. I mentioned him to my friend, and he brought her on. And Mariah here, Vinit, George. I mean, there's just a host of very high end people that we have on there. Of course, they're yours truly, right here. Boom. And of course, we are under the partners as well. Always do a really good job. I worked with these quite a bit. You can see here's our logo right here, Washington Elite. We are throwing the official after party here as well. Global Boost Media will be bringing a host of different interviews about this, doing with this event. So we're super excited about it. And, that's how we do it. So I want to play another one of the panels from our MAGA Maha Crypto Leadership Conference. This one was led by George, my friend, George Fajardo. I'm going to cue it up right here. And we have here as well Lyndon LaRouche, his wife. Hold on here. Okay, hold on here. Here we go. Okay.
Next.
I'm introducing everybody here for the next panel. I think.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right, next panel we have is the future of policy governance freedom in the Trump era. This discussion is going to be led by our own George Fajardo. Fajardo.
Let me get people in the room.
Please welcome to the stage Victoria Colvin. Mrs. King. Yeah, that's right. You're on. Diane Sayre. Jim Carlin. Sophia, did I get everybody?
All right. How's everyone doing?
Yes.
The day has been going by quickly, huh? What about all the amazing panelists that we've had throughout the day? It's been an amazing event. And I'm looking at another amazing panel here that I'm honored and grateful to be sitting next to. For those who don't know me, my name is George Fajardo, founder and CEO of KPI Capital Partners. We're a fund specializing in real estate investments, and we see a bright future ahead when it comes to real estate and the tokenization of real estate, which I'd like to talk about a little more as we go through the panel. And I'll go ahead and pass the mic on.
Hello, everybody. I am Angela Stanton King. I wasn't expecting to be on the stage until tomorrow night, but we're going to totally just freestyle it up here. So to give you guys a little info about my background and who I am, I worked very closely with Trump and his administration on criminal justice reform during the 2016 to 2020. You may have heard about a law that Trump passed. He made it illegal for them to chain release the bed during childbirth. That was because of me. And my and I'll go into that a little bit more later, but my relationship with Trump eventually led me to working with Bobby, and I'm a senior advisor for RFK. So when they talk about the MAGA and Maha joining together and us being a unity party, I don't think it gets more unified than me. So I represent both sides. Glad to be here.
Hi, my name's Victoria. I now do a YouTube channel called Girl Talks, and it's to talk about mental health and sobriety and the problems that we have with our veterans, and 22 a day is absolutely ridiculous. I am a veteran myself. I have MS. This is my dog, Charlotte. probably wondering who's got a treat for her. But we have a real problem in this country, and we need to talk about mental health in the back door. We need to keep it quiet, keep it to yourself. And we need to bring that into innovation as well, where we're bringing it to channels, to all sorts of obvious open door policies where we can talk about our problems. My son's also a Marine, and my other son's a Marine, my husband's a Marine, my brother's a Marine, my nephew's a Marine.
Yeah.
I can go on, but my brother has very severe PTSD. And my son is now a federal marshal who was in the Marine Corps, and he's had 4 of his friends commit suicide. One of his federal marshal buddies from his academy committed suicide already. And we're not talking about it. We're not trying to fix the problem, and we're not being open about it. And with all the other innovations that we have, we need to make that a priority as well. We need to make it so I'm not embarrassed to say I got depression. I'm not embarrassed to say I had a problem when I found out I had MS and I stopped being able to walk. You know, today was a great day. I got to leave my cane in the car, but tomorrow I might have to use my walker. It is every day is a different day for me. So we tend to make people, you have to put your happiest face on. Look at social media, look at influencers. It's all lies. It's all bananas. It's not true. They're not telling the truth. They're renting jets so that they can look like they flew somewhere. It's not true. So we need to bring truth to the forefront, and we need to start talking about things in an honest and true manner, and stop telling people they have to talk about that in the back door.
All right.
So I am Diane Sayre. I ran for U.S. Senate in the state of New York twice. I have the unfortunate distinction of being the only independent candidate to get on the ballot in New York in 2 elections, 2022 and 2024, as the LaRouche party. New York tripled the signature requirement, as people may be aware, and this election season, New York had the distinction of being the only state in the union that only had 2 presidential choices on the ballot. That is how far they have gone to stifle debate. I appreciate your comments very much. My sister was brigade surgeon in a combat unit in Iraq during the surge. We should talk very much. What I wanted to briefly just say is we are a few hours away from the implementation of the hostage release and ceasefire deal, which could have been done in May. We know Biden is taking credit for it now. It is not Biden who got this done. And we have a world, I think, General Douglas MacArthur was correct when he spoke on the battleship USS Missouri at the end of World War II, when Japan surrendered after 2 nuclear bombs were unnecessarily dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And he said that since mankind can now annihilate itself, we better come up with some way of resolving disputes that does not lead to self-annihilation. I think that's correct. How do we get there? Now, we, after the Berlin Wall collapsed, said we are the global hegemon. How do we enforce? We do it by force. We have 1,000 military bases around the world, and if we want your government to change, we will starve you to death. We will sanction you. We will bomb you. Guess what? The human spirit resists that. So what have we earned for our hegemony? Well, Russia just launched the Orezhnik missile. Did people catch that? Travels at Mach 10. Over here, we thought it was impossible. Nobody on the planet has an anti-missile system that can stop the Orezhnik. And we won't for a decade. China is going to bring back samples from the surface of Mars 4 years before we are going to do it. So while we were running around being the global hegemon through force, other people have recognized that the power of humanity is in our mind. It is in our spirit. And I think that perhaps the greatest driver, because you have a very interesting team in the incoming Trump administration, is a plan to establish on Mars. I mean that in all seriousness. We're talking here about crypto. Where would crypto be if we hadn't gone to the moon? Would we have computers? Would we have cell phones? Would we have Velcro? What happens if we say we have to figure out how to create an atmosphere on Mars? If we have to figure out how to grow food on Mars? Is there any environmental problem that we could not then fix on Earth? The state of New York has 157 companies that are feeders to NASA. Had 2020 not been peculiarly resulted in the Biden administration, we were going to put the first woman on the moon in 2024. People might remember Project Artemis. That's now delayed. I think we have to get that back on track. NASA employed 40,000 people, and there were 400,000 private jobs feeding into NASA. So imagine the boon to the US economy, to the collaboration of human beings to get there. So I am saying that for us to have a new era of prosperity, we have to think big, we have to think bold, and I want to echo the minister. I was thinking the same African proverb, which is to get there fast, go alone, to go far, go together. And I think we have the potential to do that, but we are going to have to fight for it, because there are a lot of people who feel that human creativity is a grave threat, and they will be opposing the potential. Yep.
It is on. Okay. My name is Jim Carlin. I served in the Iowa House and Senate. I also ran for the U.S. Senate. I think we probably had some similar problems. One of our biggest problems was fundraising, because the game's designed for corporations, and the big money people to run the show and pull the strings of people. And I would submit to you that our greatest problem is not Russia or China. It's the institutionalized corruption that is built right into our system. And RFK's idea to have a constitutional amendment to set aside Citizens United will be a huge step in that direction, I believe. And I would like to tell you that that stranglehold that the power brokers have over legislators is just part of that. But the truth is it isn't. It goes deeper than that. And when I first started considering getting into this, I had my first grandson. And like you got, my faith is my life. I love God, and I submit to his orchestration. And then I follow after it. But the first time I heard the words Papa, changed my whole paradigm. Because when I heard that word, I thought to myself, what is his world going to be like in 25 years? We are in a death spiral as a country. We're in moral free fall. What am I going to do to help that kid? I'll be gone. And the reality is, we are literally fighting a tomorrow war today. We're fighting a tomorrow war today. Our kids need to know, our great, and I wish the younger generation would take us a little more seriously. If they can force vaccinations on you, your bodies have been sold to pharma, right? If they can take over health insurance and triple your premiums and deny claims and have claims adjusters practicing medicine, they didn't do that to make it affordable, okay? They didn't do that to make it affordable. If they can invade your privacy and call it patriotic and know every single thing about you to enrich themselves, they're not representing you, they're selling you. And when I first got into the Iowa Senate, the Senate Majority Leader sat down right next to me. And I kind of created some problems in the House. There was a workman's compensation bill that I thought was immoral. And I went to other Republicans and I said, do you know what we're doing here? It was terrible. Because of time's sake, I'm not going to get into the details. But I was a freshman legislator and I got 9 people to agree with me, and we stopped the bill. I got called in and I said, do you have any idea what you're doing? What do you mean? You're making some very powerful people very angry. And you need to know that. Because we have long memories. And the governor is very upset with you. And they don't like your little freshman ringleader circus going on. Okay? That's like a reality you need to know. So the following year I get in the Senate and the Senate Majority Leader sits down next to me, pats me on the thigh and says, hey, Jim, I don't know what they did in the House, but let me tell you how it works here. You want something, you go along. You want something, you go along. And I looked at him and I said, Bill, I appreciate your candor. You give me something to think about. And he said that right when a vote was on the floor that I didn't want to vote for, and he knew it. And I thought about it and I thought about it, and I'm like, no, you can't make deals with people's lives and interests and keep your conscience. You can't. You can't. I walked over to him and I told him I was a no. And you guys need to know what I'm about to tell you, because this is where it gets real. This is where my appeal to you in this room is I want you guys to consider running. When I said no to him, I said no to chairmanships. I said no to my bills getting on the floor, getting into a full committee. I said no to campaign money, because they cut everything when you say no. If you don't conform to what they want, they cut your legs out from underneath you. That's how it works. And when I ran against Senator Grassley, I primaried Chuck Grassley. People say, why would you ever primary Chuck Grassley? Here's a little known fact. His grandson is the Speaker of the House in Iowa. Did you guys know that? Did you know he donated $1 million to House Republicans the year that happened? One family controls that kind of power. Okay. So when you get on the other side of that, they make things hard for you. They play really dirty, right? Yep. They play dirty. Well, so my response, and when I got to the other side of losing a U.S. Senate primary, I'm like, what can I do with this capital I've got here? I've got some capital. I've met a lot of people. You know what I did? I started a thing called the Iowa Liberty Network. Our premise is very simple. We recruit people with a spine and with a conscience. We train them. We have a candidate school. We mentor them. We help them get elected. And when they're there, they have a bunch of like-minded colleagues with them. They're not alone. We have 22 people, 11 in the House and 11 in the Senate that work with us. So they're not alone in that whole isolation, freeze out game they play with you. It didn't work. And we're just part of another 4 getting elected. And the State House is one of the last boundaries of our sovereignty. It needs to be seriously looked at. So here's what I would challenge each of you, because we had a pharmacist run, a mom run, a cleaning lady a couple years ago ran. She's fantastic, articulate on the floor. She's amazing. But what about you? What about you? Because we're not part of the club. And we better figure out a way to network and help each other get elected, or at the end of this wonderful 4 years we're going to enjoy, we're going to be right back to square one. And none of us wants that. So thank you.
Louder. You gotta be loud in that one.
Okay, so, to this amazing point, I think when Avelio and I sat down and we started sharing our vision for this event was to essentially create our own coalition, our own pack, where we're creating a movement that's going to go beyond just what we're seeing here today for the next, today and tomorrow for this weekend, but for the foreseeable future, where in numbers there's strength. And with like-minded individuals like ourselves in this room, I think we can make an impact. So, let's talk policy for a second. Now, at KPI Capital Partners, one of the things that we're very excited about is the implementation of some of these proposed pro-growth policies that will promote investment, will promote infrastructure, will eliminate some of this, red tape and hopefully the bureaucracy when it comes to the development side, which is obviously the sector that we're involved in. And so my question to each of the panelists here is, what, in your opinion, in your view, would be some of the prioritized policies that the administration should start looking into that are going to shape not only the next 4 years, but moving forward to the foreseeable future?
I'll go ahead and shoot first. And this is something that's dear to me. You guys know we have a whole wide range of things that we need to find solutions for, but I'll just talk about one. Our country right now is experiencing a maternal health crisis. Are you all aware of that? Yeah. And the state of Georgia that I am in is #1 for the infant mortality rate. In New York and New Jersey, there are more Black babies being aborted than there are being born. And so I kind of got into this, and it was a little sticky, but Alveda King is my godmom, so I've been pro-life for probably about 20 years. And we started Auntie Angie's House, which is a pregnancy home that we place strategically across from Planned Parenthood, and we plan to spread across the nation, because one of the things that I learned is that you're not really giving them a choice if Planned Parenthood is the only thing that is the only place that they have to go. If some people in here are pro-choice, just helping them understand that choosing to keep the baby is a choice that deserves support. And one of my most challenging things from working with Trump to working with Bobby is that Bobby's pro-choice. And Bobby came by Auntie Angie's house and he sat down and he held our babies. And I helped him understand that this is something we can all come together on when we're talking about just switching the atmosphere, right? Because whatever is at the head, it trickles down to the bottom. How can we implement policy? What can we do to change the narrative in regards to the maternal health crisis and the infant mortality rate? I'm sure it's a lot of doctors in this room, and I've been honored to be able to work with some of the best, America's Frontline doctors, Bobby, Robert Malone, Peter McCullough, and all of this. And what we realize is that every abortion is a tragedy, and no one should have an abortion because of poverty. Can we agree there? Right? We shouldn't be having abortions for poverty. What can we do to fix the maternal health crisis? Well, what can we do to increase the birth rate? We can get back to normal methods of giving birth, right? How many people in this room know that birth is natural, right? So, I mean, if you're going to the hospital and they're cutting you in half, right, to have a baby, the chances are you could bleed out, right? They can stop. I'm not a doctor, but I'm sure there are doctors in here, but every species on this earth gives birth, right? Humans, for some reason, we're the only ones getting cut in half, okay? Every species on this planet, they feed their baby from where? Their breast. Us, for some reason, we want soy milk, we want powder milk, we don't want, so we're focusing on getting back to the natural origin of everything. But here's the issue. When we have more choices, we have more life. And so I was able, as a pro-life person, to work with a bunch of people that were pro-choice, where we came to the middle and we said, what's the solution? Well, what the solution is to provide resources. So one of the main initiatives that I'm going to be working on the next 4 years, along with Trump and Bobby, is the maternal health crisis and bringing the birth rate in America back up. And what we're fighting to do is making sure that women have the resources that they need, right, in order to properly care for their children. The argument when it came to the pro-life and the pro-choice and Roe v. Wade, it really was never, for a lot of people, they thought that it was all about taking away a woman's choice. The argument was really about tax dollars, right? Because those of us that were pro-life, we're saying, hey, we don't want to pay for it, right? You didn't call me when you were having a good time and you made the baby. Should have called me then. Don't call me now, right? So what we're saying is the majority of Americans, most of you, I ask you in this room, your tax dollars, would you prefer that your tax dollars go to the termination of life, or would you prefer that your tax dollars go to help the mother that chose life? So those are some of the initiatives that I think that are very important, because I couldn't understand how Kamala Harris ran an entire campaign on abortion with open borders. There were no abortion clinics at the border, right? They didn't take the abortion Hot Wheels bus to the border, but they took it to the Chicago DNC, right? And we're performing abortions on site. So the maternal health crisis, criminal justice reform is another thing. And we all watched what happened to Trump. Trump went in and he won with 34 convictions, okay? So a lot of times people are unjustly, right, convicted by the law. We need to fix that. And that's another thing that I'm going to be working on that I think is very important. We have to heal our land. And I'm all for putting America and Americans first, right? I don't care what your skin color is. I just know I was born here. I was born here, went to school here. My mom's buried here. My grandmother's buried here. All of my aunts, my children went to school. My businesses are here. When you look at my birth certificate says America. And what I fought to get people to see, and I'm going to pass when it comes to Trump and when it comes to Bobby, when it comes to our government, is you have to look at our government like you look at parents, right? So I'm a parent. When I get paid, my responsibility is to make sure that I take care of my home and the children that are under my roof. That doesn't mean that I won't help the people across the street or the people around the corner. That just means that as a parent, I have a responsibility to take care of the children that are in my home. This is what Make America Great Again is all about, and Make America Healthy Again all about. The government, they're the parents of America. They have a responsibility to make sure that their citizens are taken care of first. So sending billions and billions of dollars over to Ukraine and then telling American women if they want to be successful, they need to have an abortion, that's just not going to work. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, if you're pro-choice or you're pro-life. I think we all agree that we want women to feel safe and comfortable about bringing life into this world.
So when it comes to policies and what we need to do to change, I obviously am in the health side of things, but I look at it from a perspective of two different things. We need to do better policies when it comes to pharma, big pharma. They run the world. We don't. Our government doesn't. They tell them what to do. I will give you this much money, but you're going to let these people over here pass this drug. It's just going to pass. And, you know, we probably have cures out there that will never be used. I said I got diagnosed with MS a little over a year ago in 23. And I have refused to take a single pharmaceutical. I will not take them. I'm doing everything I can holistically. I'm working with holistic doctors. I don't want to take it. I don't want to be bogged down by some pharmaceutical that I can't ever get off of. And maybe if there ever comes a solution, your solution is taken away immediately as soon as you started taking those pharmaceuticals. I refused to get the vaccine against a lot of people's better judgments, but I felt I had a better judgment. And when it comes to our veterans and policies that are made about people when it comes to pharmaceuticals, and then when you get to the veteran side of the house, We have a really strong way of literally holding your hand from the minute the recruiter comes to the high school and talks to the kid. I will now hold your hand all the way through the recruiting process. And then when he gets through the recruiting process, he hands your hand over to the drill instructor. And then the drill instructor hands his hand over to your commander. And you go to your new unit and you're held and you're told what to do the entire step of the way. But when it's time for you to get out, sayonara, see ya, good luck. Hope everything works out well for you. Oh, wait, you're suicidal? There's 6 months wait for us to do anything to help you out. How about you just go out in the parking lot and please don't shoot yourself in our parking lot. Can you at least do it somewhere else? That's the problem. We're not holding their hand after they leave because they've seen things, they've done things, they've heard things, they've experienced things. And it goes from combat zones to sexual harassment. It's everything that is involved in that probable thing that you have that might happen. You are told when to get up, where to go, where to eat, when to shower, when to shift, when to shave. And then you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Sorry, probably not supposed to say that. But you don't know what you're doing. Nobody tells you to get up and go for a run. Nobody tells you it's chow time. Nobody tells you we're going to the field today. Nobody tells you to do anything. And then you have these guys that don't know what they're doing and they're going from heroes to zeros. They're doing greetings at Walmart to get people to go shopping. And they don't know what they're doing. If you're in a combat position in the military, you're not qualified to do any other job. And I don't know any companies out there, any of you own a company and you're like, yeah, I really want you to go and kill some people for me. You know, that's not what you hire them for. You want somebody, well, what's your experience in this? Well, I don't have any. What's your experience in this? Well, I've been to Afghanistan 4 times. Well, what does that have to do with anything? So we need to have something where they can get out of the military and they can have some education, not just the GI Bill. I'm sorry, that's not the answer because not everybody is college material. Sometimes they need to say, come be an intern in my company, come be something. And nowadays, I know too many of my veterans. I also own a nonprofit for veterans. And we teach different art techniques to combat PTSD and prevent suicide. And you have too many of them that I run into that say, as soon as I mention I am a veteran now, they immediately go, oh, do you have PTSD? And they're worried about the 22 a day, but they don't want to hire you. They don't want to help you because they don't want you to kill yourself on their watch. And they don't want you to maybe go, forget the old phrase was postal. Now it's PTSD. Now it's military. Oh my God, you might go crazy and shoot up the place. So I don't want to hire you. So this thing that, oh, you're a veteran, you get better points and you get to be hired because everybody wants a veteran. No, they don't. Because now they're afraid of you because the only thing the media talks about is in the negative manner. And that's my third policy problem that we have is the media needs to stop running our country.
Yeah.
You know, they're not in charge, we're in charge, and we're the people. And our Constitution is about we, the people. So the politicians to the media think that they own us when we're their boss. So if you're not doing your job right, you gotta vote them out, and you gotta do exactly like you said. You have to get other people involved, get people to start running for office. And it needs to not be a money scam to be elected. That's part of the bigger problem. You know, I've watched it my entire life. My parents were diplomats with the Foreign Service, and I grew up watching politics, meeting all sorts of dignitaries my entire life. From the Queen to President Reagan my first job was in Reagan's office. And I watched it as a kid, watching our parents, and it truly was deals being made on golf courses. Because when you're 8, you eavesdrop. You know, when you're 14, you pay attention to what your parents are doing. And you go like, wait a minute, the last time I saw, you guys don't like each other. Oh no, that's just for show. Like, we're fine. You know, and it's all a big game. And we as Americans, we the people have to stand up. And when we stand up and we apparently go without guns, it's an insurrection. But when the other side of it goes and burns shit down, that's just peaceful protesting. You see, I'm wearing black today. Everybody might think it's because I was going to a funeral, and yes, that is. I am going to a funeral. Biden's president.
All right.
Well, so I think that we need to be going to Mars. The first thing is we have to actually nationalize the Federal Reserve. We don't need a private central bank run by people that no one knows what they do, who line their own pockets and make policies that kill us. We do need a policy, as Alexander Hamilton said, that can allow the direction of credit into those things that actually benefit the American people. We need about 43,000 miles of modern high-speed rail. People probably got here one way or another, and you might have noticed it was not smooth. It was the airport sitting like this in an airplane, or it was avoiding the potholes on the roads, which are like an obstacle course. Or if you take a train, we have 3 train derailments per day in the United States right now. But I'm so glad we have all this money to spend to fund all these wars. Now, besides that, we need massive continent-wide water management. There was a project, the North American Water and Power Alliance, NWAPA, supported by Robert Kennedy Sr. when he was in the Senate, which would take water from Alaska into the Rocky Mountain Trench, irrigate the entire western part of the United States. What just happened in Los Angeles is not a new weather phenomenon. The Native American population who lived there used to have a word for it, and I don't remember what it is. This is known. We are supposed to be human beings who can forecast the future and build accordingly. We used to do that. So we need continent-wide water management. Now, if we are doing these things, what do you think will happen to the educational system? Will the teachers be able to come in and say, Johnny, do you really like being a boy? Don't you think you might have been born in the wrong body? We would have no time for that, because the crime of all the junk going on in the schools is not merely what they are teaching the children, it's what we are not teaching children. How many languages can a 5- and 6-year-old learn? Can they play the violin? Can they play the piano? Do they have a chemistry laboratory where they might blow up their house, but they might actually learn something? So that this question of developing our nation with a mission would see the urgency of cultivating the talents of every child. And then instead of seeing children as a burden, as was being addressed, as an expense, a sinkhole, you would have the optimism that every single new life is an infinite potential and we don't know what it is. And that change can be instantaneous. We don't have to work up to it. We just need a bold mission.
I think President Trump is going to do a wonderful job addressing what you just asked us. I think he's going to deregulate a lot of things. I think he's going to take the shackles off of a lot of industries. What I talked about, the whole financial corruption end. Senate Majority Leader, the Speaker of the House, historically, they've had things called toll booths where money changes hands through campaign contributions. That shouldn't be legal. The insider trading, there are literally lobbyists that want a certain candidate elected to get inside information And they do better than the expert hedge fund managers. You want to make a nice living, follow Nancy Pelosi's trend.
54% up last year.
It's amazing. I don't think anybody else is doing that good.
How is AOC worth $14 million?
How is that even possible?
How?
So like, if Martha Stewart can go to prison for it, why are they being rewarded for it? Why are they being insulated by a different set of rules? Those same rules have to apply to the permanent political class that we have. They engage in almost soprano-like extortion to get people elected. You know, it's like they'll come back and they'll say, hey, you know that tax credit you needed? Well, might not happen this year. You guys remember Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah.
Okay. Obama had meetings with Goldman Sachs and the big boys on Wall Street who all of a sudden are getting in trouble with the DOJ until the campaign checks were written to the Obama administration's reelection in 2012. And all of a sudden, the investigations end.
Crickets.
They ended, which, I mean, we really have to address the corruptive core influence of how things are being done. And until we do that, I don't think we're going to right the ship. We have to deal with institutionalized corruption. The government has to stop attacking the middle class and facilitating the breakdown of the family. And we have to put America first again.
So, I completely agree with the statement you made regarding the two different set of rules. And, it's one of those things that I remember a law school professor of mine mentioned that, the rules are made to benefit those who make them. And, obviously something has to be done about that because, for the rest of us to live and abide by different sort of rules, obviously it's not an equitable system. Now, I want to switch the conversation a little bit now towards bipartisanship. Obviously, Trump is always branded as being polarizing and stirring division. And I would make the argument that Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s appointment to Secretary of Health is actually a huge step in trying to bring both sides of the aisle together by partisanship. And so my question to the panel here is, it's actually a twofold question, is what do you see as a path forward to continue to unite the country and both sides of the aisle? And what do you see as as we reflect back on this next term, 4 or 5 years down the line, what do you foresee as the lasting legacy from this administration?
That's a great question. I think that Bobby, just like you said, is the representation of unity. Bobby was a staunch Democrat, and he wouldn't become Republican, but he did become independent. And what Bobby did was he and Chuck came together, and they kind of merged these two parties together, making Maha and MAGA the unity party. Bobby, his supporters are mostly Democrat, libertarian, but those are the people that are like, hey, the Democrats have gone too far left. We're no longer focused on party. We're focused on people. And I think that this unity between, Kennedy supporters and Trump supporters can show America that we should be working together. I don't think any two people get along all the time, right? I can remember times me and my mom didn't get along, times I didn't get along with my friends or some of my siblings, but does that mean we hate each other? I mean, you can be a Democrat, you can be pro-choice, I can be a Republican, I can be pro-life. And the wonderful thing about that is when we sit down to the table and we figure out what the solution is, because everybody matters, right? We're in America. There are no two people that are the same. We are in a big melting pot. We're not all going to agree, right? And if we focus on the things that we don't agree on, which is what we've been seeing in politics, just a bunch of fighting, everybody focus on what we don't agree on. But when we all come together and focus on what we do agree on, then we'll see a better country, right? We all want to be healthy, right? We all want to be healthy. We all want America first. People made it seem like it's such a bad thing, all right? But every time I've gone out of the country, I was never able to just walk into another country. I always had to show my paperwork. People tell me, oh, you're a Trump supporter, he's gonna send you back to Africa. I've never been to Africa a day in my life. Never. I don't even know anybody over there. I'm sure if I go over there, they'll kick me right out, or maybe they'll try to hold me for ransom and call Bobby and Trump. I don't know, but let's just be honest about it. We're all here. We are all Americans. No matter where you came from, if you migrated here or whatever, we're here together. Your kid's gonna go to school with my kid, right? We're gonna cross paths eventually. I think the wonderful thing about how we can carry this on is looking at how Bobby and Trump came together, and I didn't think it was gonna happen. Right? That was my plan from the beginning. Like, I had a lot of Republicans mad at me. I'm like, bump that. I'm going to work with Bobby. Bobby's my friend. Let me see how I can bring these two together. But that was a moment in history that is never going to go away. Because I don't know how many people know that Bobby sued Trump like 3 times in one.
And they left.
And Trump is arrogant. He don't like anybody beating him. The fact that those two can say, hey, wait a minute, let's sit down and let's do what's best for this country. I think how we move forward is, I know that we have party lines, but when we understand as people that it's people over party. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I've been all three. I'm an independent now because I'm tired of the shit on both sides, right? But I'm here and I want us to focus on people. And when we focus on people and put people over party, you guys be surprised at what we can get done when we work together. Like, I've got people that love me on both sides now, right? We all want the same thing at the end of the day. So I think that's how we do it. We move forward. We let Bobby and Trump be an example to us all that we can set our differences aside and do what's best for our country. And we need to do that from here on out.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to add to the same thing you were just saying. As hard as it was for many of us to take the 2020 election, and whether you believe it was stolen or don't believe it was stolen, it's irrelevant. It was gone. It's done. But I also look at the old thing your grandmother probably told you, be careful what you wish for, because they got what they wished for and they hated it. They saw it. They lived it. They went broke over it. The homeless population has gotten out of control. And as much as I hate anything that's devastating, and as sad as it was that there was a hurricane that hit the North Carolina area and Georgia and those places, we saw how they responded. We saw how they did nothing. And then you turn around and you have the California fires. And the words coming out of their mouth, let's see if they put their money where their mouth is, but what they're saying is, we're gonna take care of you. 100%, we're gonna fund everything. We're gonna fix everything. Is their money gonna be where their mouth is? Are the people that are voting them in office in California now going to reap what they've sown? Are they going to realize we are voting these people in that allowed this to happen? It's not about what you're going to do to rebuild, but what you did to make it happen. What you did that caused this in the first place is bad policy, bad leadership, and people getting money and putting it in their pocket. So the way I see it is, because of the 2016 election, the hatred for Trump and MAGA people were so severe. We're all racist and everything else. And then you go to the 2020 where they took over and destroyed everything. And then you went to the campaign time of 2024 and you saw everyone migrating to the MAGA movement. Everyone from every different race, every different culture, LGBTQ, whether you like the A plus and all that, every single walk of life migrated towards the MAGA movement. And then you had Trump and RFK Jr. combining together, and it brought the lingering people who still weren't sure, still didn't trust, still didn't know they could believe in this, but they knew they didn't want this. So they said, I'm just gonna keep an eye on them, just gonna keep watching. And then you have, as funny as it might be, but you got influencers. And Joe Rogan is one of the biggest podcasts in the world. And you get Trump on there and they're just bullshitting for 3 hours about all sorts of stuff and policy, golf and policy, MMA fighting and policy. And people saw him as a human being. People saw him as a person. He even brought up the fact that, well, how can you align with this guy who sued you 3 times? He said, yeah, he sued me, he won, but we move on. You know, and it showed him with some humanity. It showed him, even though we all know he's a bit arrogant, it showed that he can also say, yeah, well, I screwed up sometimes. You know, I'm human. And then you have that person who said, I'm not going to pick a side, I'm not going to pick a side. As soon as that episode was over, he's like, I'm going for Trump. And it made all the other lingering people that were still in the weights going, if he does, and he does, and now he's aligned with him, and then Elon Musk is aligned. What am I missing here? And I think what they did is they started going back in time. They started reviewing. They started doing the research we all have been telling them to do all along. And there is no longer really the Democrat and the Republicans. It is now the Democrats, the Republicans, and the MAGA, Maha. And we don't have to worry about now you can't get voted in if you're independent. They can put an R and a D on your name, and now you want to know where do you align. I don't really care what that D and that R stand for. Where do you align? Are you for health care? And are you in the MAHA? Okay, I'm with you. Are you in the MAGA? Okay, I'm with you. But if you just say, no, I'm a Democrat, you're like you're kind of with your head in the sand. And we have to pull our heads out of our, you know what, and start paying attention. And I think that as hard as it was to watch the Biden presidency, it was the best thing that could have happened for us, for the future. And the fires, horrible thing, but what could it do for the change? You have to come out of the ashes. And when you come out of the ashes, you can dust yourself off and come out much cleaner. You can purge all that stuff. Mel Gibson in an interview said, it is just stuff. And I look at this as more of a purging. You know, you get to just start over. And that's what we need to do now that we have a new election. It's only 4 years with Trump. We have to continue this same momentum after he's out of office. And who are we going to put in there the next one? We don't want another person who's just going to do what you're told, or you're not going to make it.
Come to that question, but I want to put it in context. There's a revolution in the world right now, and it's hard for Americans to think about it because we do think we are the global hegemon, but our insane policies have created a new dynamic, which is the end of colonialism, which is what the Russia, China, the BRICS and BRICS Plus partnership means. They didn't form because they hated the United States. They formed because we threw people out of the SWIFT system and we put sanctions. A friend of mine in Russia recently said everyone there says, thank you, President Biden, and they mean it. Why? Because they had to become self-sufficient, right? So this, and look at Africa, how many nations are throwing the French military out of their countries and throwing Barrick Gold and all the colonial mercenaries? People are saying, we want our sovereignty, we don't want your foot on our neck. And if we would come to our senses, which I think we demonstrated by defeating Kamala Harris, that we're moving in that direction, we would say, wow, this revolt in the world is a lot like the American Revolution, which we are going to be celebrating over the next 2 years, right? This April is the anniversary of Lexington and Concord. It's the beginning of the American Revolution. We get our identity back as an anti-colonial revolutionary force we will be surprised at the partnerships we can have with what is called the global south or the global majority. People saw Trump posted about his conversation with Xi Jinping of yesterday. Very optimistic. We have our disagreements, but we can make sure there is world peace. We are the two biggest economies on the planet. We work together, we can solve problems. In that context, I just want to say one other thing, and I appreciate everyone being here. It's been a long day and we're all starving, as am I. But the nominations of Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel, I think, are urgent. And I was on a radio show yesterday, and the host, who is a big Trump supporter, said, "Oh, it's all under control. Look what's," no, it is not under control. When they are dragging out people like Bill Webster at the age of 100, former head of the FBI and head of the CIA, to write letters to every single US senator telling them that Tulsi Gabbard is not qualified because she said Assad did not use chemical weapons on his own population. Well, guess what? That was already, he didn't. But you're not allowed to say that. Oh, she might have said Iraq did not have weapons of mass destruction. Oh, can't have her anywhere near there. Kash Patel has a phenomenal list of people that he thinks should be investigated and probably put in jail. And they include people like John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, Fiona Hill, Eric Holder. It's a fabulous list. We need him to do that job. If we don't clean up this apparatus, then it is going to be very difficult for President Trump to be able to carry out what he intends. And the Democratic Party is and I speak as a former Democrat, but I'm sorry, that party has become the party of fascism, war, and dictatorship. They have cannibalized themselves. Just look, Bernie Sanders, and isn't that disgusting? Hillary steals his vote, and then he endorses her, right? Tulsi Gabbard happily did not do that, right? She left. But they want to delay. You may have noticed that Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel they're not holding the hearings on them yet. They're trying to delay it to come up with something, anything, whatever they can do to stop them from getting confirmed. So I wrote a little pamphlet with some friends. I have copies here, reminding people, the 51 intelligence experts who said the Hunter Biden laptop was why should anyone listen to one of those people? Why do they have any right to go in the Congress? They lied to us. So the lies, the Iraq weapons of mass destruction, the Hunter Biden laptop, the Syria chemical weapons, the DNC hack, we got to remind the Senate, we're going to hold them accountable. These people who lied to us about all these other things don't have a leg to stand on, and they have no rights in telling the president who can be the director of national intelligence and the director of the FBI. And I just wanted to say that because we've got to organize. We cannot take this for granted.
You had asked what can be done in a bipartisan way, Republican and Democrat, to bring us together. I think one of the answers to that question, which President Trump has answered better than anybody else, he has stood up authentically for the middle class. He has stood up authentically for the middle class, and they know it. And I think the middle class is one of the defining attributes of his success as a leader. When I look at the middle class and I look at what government's done to it, Obamacare tripled the cost of health insurance, tripled for working class people. The mortgage of a new home, the cost to own a home has gone up 128% as a percentage of income since the 90s. Student loan debt has exploded. And then you throw 20% inflation into somebody's retirement income with a permanent tax on them, and you expect them to make a go of it. I think where we can come together is Let's figure out a way to stop economically enslaving our people to health care, to health insurance, to banks. And let's give them a fair shake instead of working against them. That is one area where I think, because remember when you were kids, the Democrats were always aligned with who? The labor people. For some reason, they've departed from representing the working class, and to be perfectly honest, the Republican Party, people with the political class people, they're much more aligned with the uber rich people. You know, and I think that's one way they could do it.
So we're taking all panelists for your time. And before we go, if you see any of these to register for the WhatsApp group, there's going to be a petition going around in support of Robert Kennedy Jr.'s appointment. As some of you may know, there has been some grassroots movements by the opposition to obviously oppose the appointment. And so if you obviously support Maha, which I'm sure everybody in this room does, but also especially if you have relationships, friendships with anybody in the medical field, scientists, medical professionals, please pass it around as well. Continue to distribute it because it's going to go a long way.
Awesome. Let's get a photo, guys. Here, let's get a photo.
Side a little bit. Charlotte.
Okay.
Hey Randy, I got another home run for us, man. This 2-bit exchange is absolutely amazing.
Hey Bruce, what's up, man? Yeah, why don't you tell me about that 2-bit exchange?
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to be able to list our coins that we want, that we support, and they're going to be on this amazing derivatives platform. It's absolutely awesome.
Derivatives? I love derivatives. I can't wait to be on the trade copy program.
What I want you to do is set up an account and then send me your UID, and let's set you up with a trade copy system, and you just let it run. Copy our trades. That's it. Easy peasy.
So you want me to open an account, send you my user ID, and you hook me up with the trade copy system. I can't wait. Sounds spectacular.
Hey, Matt. Hey, listen, I met with the guys at 2-Bit Exchange while I was in Dubai, and this platform really looks amazing.
Yeah, hi Bruce. Yeah, thank you again for that heads up. I mean, I've looked into this 2-bit platform. It does appear to have everything we're looking for.
Yeah, that's right. 2-Bit, T-O-O-B-I-T. They have great liquidity. They have futures platform. There's a lot of functionality that I think you're going to like on there. And they really want to work with us. They want to work with the Impact Money Show. And as you and I both know, if they have a good product and they want to work with us, well, hey, that's half the battle.
I mean, basically, I love that copy trade facility. I love the features on the platform. It's basically very simple to use.
Our viewers only need to set it up to copy our trades, and they just do all the trades that we do. Makes it really easy for people to participate. I think they're going to love it. I'm pretty excited about it.
And yeah, it's definitely going to benefit people. I mean, obviously with all the years of experience that we can pack into it, and people can basically benefit from that. Yeah, I definitely think it's a goer.
Hey David, yeah man, I'm excited about it too. I mean, when you think of the ways that we can help our viewers earn money and be able to participate in the monetary revolution, this 2-bit platform just opens up all kinds of doors that they don't have right now.
Hey, Bruce, I'm checking out this platform. It's revolutionary.
That's absolutely correct. And the futures platform is amazing. Great liquidity. And the copy trader program, people are going to be able to make the trades exactly when we make them and make the money that we make. It's a win-win for everybody.
Open for U.S. customers, and you can deposit money with a credit or debit card. Doesn't get better than this.
Beautiful. And what do you think we should use as a referral code?
I think we should use Impact Money. That's the one. Impact Money.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.